warming up my instruments.
Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube family? This is Samuel Leggett here representing TeamJVS. I'm back here again for another movie review. The name of this movie is called not Army of the Dead, but Army of Thieves. Now, this is basically the character Ludwig Dieter's whole film, but an interesting tandem to that is that the actor playing him, Matthias, he's actually directing the movie as well as also starring as the character Ludwig Dieter. Now, one thing I'll say off rip is that this is very different than Army of the Dead. This is in the same exact world, but this is taking place in a totally different country and actually spanning around different places around the world, whereas everything that was in Army of the Dead took place in Las Vegas, Nevada in the States. So, backdrop of this. So you've got the character Dieter, or Ludwig, I'm just going to say that because it's not necessarily his name in the very beginning. I'm not going to say no more than that because it's a non-spoiler review. And he kind of is like, you know, he's got a normal day job. Like he works at a bank, at a teller. He's helping out people with some certain things. And, you know, he also has this fixation with safes. And the Wagner safes are still a part of his perspective because this takes place much earlier. Because if you've seen Army of the Dead, you know what happens to this character. I don't want to spoil anything if you haven't seen it, but it's anyway. And all of a sudden, like he just kind of is like, he looks to his left and he's kind of like, he sees this one person. He's like, wait, hold on. What is going on here? And there introduces Natalie Emmanuel's character and Gwendolyn. But it's a lot more than that. I just don't want to spoil the circumstance, how they meet. Just all I'm going to say is that coffee shop. First time really having a real in-depth conversation. And that shows you exactly who Natalie Emmanuel's character is. Because Gwen is the thief. Now, so it's Gwen, Cora, Rolf, and Brad Cage. And yes, Brad Cage. Emphasis on the Cage. Brad Cage is the action junkie who's, you know, physically capable of doing whatever. Rolf is the wheelman, drifter. Cora is the tech specialist, hacker extraordinaire. And then Gwen is the thief, but also knows how to take care of herself very well. Now, the action in this is very interesting because Natalie actually gets some really dope action moments. And it looks like, yo, this is the same style that Zach would do in terms of action. And I really appreciated it. And I was kind of like, yo, this is actually really cool. But it's more than just that. The movie itself is not, it doesn't lean on the first movie to give a basis where this is. This is very much so is just a robbery heist type of film where a guy who is better than what he knows is put in a situation where he has to help, and he's immersed into this situation because this is his passion, even though he's compromised himself joining with these criminals. Now, the character Ludwig Dieter, if you weren't jazzed by him in the first one, I don't know that you'll be jazzed with him in this one, but he does have a lot more room to breathe. And I think Mathis allows you to have a little bit more sympathy and connection to him and understanding like his quips and like his pronunciations to stuff like gulp. And he just like, why do you do that? Like, or why he, you know, is so fixated on making sure preparation for his hands before he goes and does this. It even gives like a backdrop of his past and who he was, why he's doing what he's doing even right now. But I think the other thing to that is that they also allow other characters like Gwen, they allow her character progression. I think that they actually work really well. Natalie and Matthias, they actually have good chemistry. It's really strange because it was weird from the first one. It was some other things that were implied, but I do appreciate the amount of work they put into the relationships, or at least the backdrops of the different characters to make you pick some of them that you really like. Like the character Ruby Fees, Cora, I was kind of like, she could just be this normal, simple hacker, but no, like she starts doing other things and saying certain things and making certain choices that I was like, this is really intriguing. So this brings me to the thing that, is this movie a great movie? No, I'm not going to say that. But I do think it's a fun one. And it reminds me of so much of like the old 90s, the early 2000 films in like Gone in 60 Seconds or the Ocean series, Con Air. Con Air is even referenced in this movie. Yes, I'm not going to explain why. But it feels like that. And I think the thing about it is the cinematography also lends itself very well because they take the Guy Ritchie approach to a lot of the moments, specifically the safe cracking moments. Like all the safe cracking moments that if you saw Army of the Dead, you saw certain moments, but like, no, they take it to a whole nother level with this one because they add certain circumstances that like, oh, okay, you're rallying behind. I couldn't help but sit there and smile when he was accomplishing certain things. I couldn't help but smile when he was like taunting people that he was going up against, or even when he was in a bad situation. And to be clear, he does have these random moments where he just screams and hollers and acts really like non-masculine and he's not doing what he should do. But then there's also moments, some very admirable moments. There's also really emotionally resonant moments that I think Matthias was able to kind of pull off that I didn't think that was going to be in this film. And I think the other thing is the thief side of this. And even if I think about Ant-Man, so you remember Ant-Man, one of the things about that is that, you know, our main character was a thief. And so I think that I have a soft spot to those kind of genre films that I just had so much fun with this film. I didn't think I'm not going to lie to you because the Army of the Dead, I felt like there was so many different things that it could have gotten correct. And I will say that there are things about this film that could be better. I think that the reality is that this is a completely different film. Like it's nowhere near tonally the same. It does exist in the same exact world. They do make references to certain things and I'll definitely pay attention to the very end. But I feel like this movie, the way that it ended could have lent to a whole nother series or franchise and they just didn't capitalize on it. They do imply something, but they just end. And I was kind of like, no, like, at this point now you got some characters I actually care about and you're allowing me to breathe for a second. So now I want to see where this goes. Because some of these characters, I want to see them in a scenario like what's going on in Army of the Dead. But yeah, so Hans Wagner, his backstory actually is the centerpiece and connection for the characters Gwen and Dieter in this one. And it's a really interesting thing because it seems like a very intimate, personal, and sad story that cements itself to make the movie appear to be more than what it actually is. And I think that that's either a plus or a minus, but either way, to me, it was fundamentally, it worked. I was kind of like, at least you have something for me to go. So Italian Job, right? Was Italian Job a perfect film? No. But you had characters you liked. You had characters that you were like, oh, wow, I can't wait to see what they're going to do. And you also had like a villainous character. In this one, these are criminals. So there's not necessarily a villain per se, but there are certain people that make choices. Jonathan Cohen plays a character that is this Interpol cop that he's just trying to track them down because of a circumstance. And it's interesting because it's not like, well, I don't want to spoil any more than that. But I would say, I can't believe I'm saying this. I would say that Army of Thieves is something that I feel like you might really enjoy. I think that you might have a fun time with it. Is it perfect? No. Do some of the jokes not land? Yes. Some of the moments it's really cringy at times? Yes. Does the action work? Yeah, I think the action does work. I think the set pieces work. I think a lot of the escape plans work. I think some of the stylized things that Zack Snyder would do, it's not overly done. And I think it's done well enough to make you want to rally behind certain characters. And then also all of Ludwig's safe cracking moments are very interesting and they're engaging. And in the symmetry behind his mind and what he's really capable of and what he's really doing are just so symbiotic that you're just kind of like, okay, I can't wait to see what I just couldn't help have a smile on my face. That's just weird to say. I rest this at an 8 out of 10. I actually really enjoyed it and I had a lot of fun with it. It just caught me by surprise. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of Army of Thieves. I'll talk to you guys soon. Keep it locked. JVS, we ain't gonna stop. Peace, guys.